Our reading today begins in the days of King Herod. We know that trouble is afoot. The world is a dangerous place for a Messiah being born. In the days of King Herod. When I was a kid, I used to go to a camp. It was run by a very good theater that was in my town growing up called the Barter Theater. It was so called because it was established in the days of the Great Depression, when you could go and there was this starving traveling band of actors, and you could go and exchange whatever you had for a ticket. You would barter for your price of admission. But I used to go when I was a child, and they had camps that were run for kids in the morning, in the summer. And we went to what they called Barter Stage 2, which was essentially just a box made of metal. Inside was the theater, but from the outside it was very, very plain. And as theaters don't want light disturbing, it was very windowless and dark. And one day, after the camp was over, I told my counselor that I was going to go to the bathroom. And I went to the bathroom, and I came out, and I opened the door, and it was pitch black on the inside of that theater. The counselors had forgotten that there was one last camper left inside, and they had left and locked the doors, forgetting me for the day. Needless to say, I was terrified, and I sort of felt my way toward the outside door, and I stood there just wondering what I was going to do at maybe the age of 7 or 8, stood there inside, until I heard my dad's voice on the other side of the door, just calling, "Caitlin? Caitlin? Is that you? Are you in there? Are you okay?" I was okay, and he left to go and find a key. And when the doors opened, all I remember is that bright, bright light, and my father's hug embracing me around. Today we celebrate Epiphany, the sudden manifestation of the star, the sudden coming of the light, Christ breaking into our world. I tell that story because it's one of the first times I remember realizing just how much other people mean to us in the world. When we are left to ourselves, the world is a dark, dark place. When we are all alone with no light to see, the world is a very scary place. I can only imagine what it was like in those first few dark hours after the coming of the storm, when you realize that not only are you feeling alone, but probably everyone else in your community is feeling alone. One of the stories that Pastor Layla told in one of our Building Puentes meetings that really stuck with me was she told us that one of the things that maybe we could do was to send some Costco gift cards, because Costco was one of the few places on the island where you could still get things, that generators were still running. They were having problems just like everyone else with supply and filling their shelves, but at least for some things, you could still go to Costco. But she said the problem is at Costco, you can only buy packs of 20 pieces of chicken. So here you have pounds and pounds of chicken that have to be somehow cooked, distributed, and suddenly you're forced to invite all of your friends and neighbors over to come and to eat together. She said in this strange kind of way, her family was reporting back that this community was being formed around these Costco meals. Hopefully I'm not totally making this up. She's nodding along. When we are left to our own devices, the world is a dark, dark place. But when we are given the gift of light and Christ breaks in, that connection forms automatically. This morning we heard the story of John the Baptist and this close connection that Jesus has with his cousin, that Jesus forms with his disciples. Today we hear the story not of one magi, Not even necessarily of 3 magi, but we know they had 3 gifts, so we assume 3 magi, but perhaps there were many, many more magi who were coming. Christ draws us into relationships. We are not left in the dark, but we form community. And that's how we get through a dark, dark world. I can only imagine that my father, on the other side of that door, still in the light, was just as terrified as I was. Now that I'm a parent, imagining my own child on the other side of that locked door, feeling totally helpless to be able to break in. It's a very scary thing to not be able to help. For us who have so many resources, who have the lights on tonight, who live in a very bright world, we are so blessed to have a window into a Building Puentes team to be able to help someone else. That is what gives us our connections in these dark, dark days. That is the bright light breaking through. For you in your own daily life, where are those connections? Where is God calling you to throw open the doors, to let others into your light, so that we might all be brighter for it? Christ is coming. Amen.